Hey guys, welcome to the farm. Today I wanted to kind of show you an update. It's been a while since we've been able to do an update on the farm. We still have our farmhouse with all of our garden beds and a bunch of kids' toys. But this year, where I'm standing here next to our large dairy barn, we have done quite a bit of work. There used to be a building sitting here, but this year what we did, well, I guess last year we tore down the building, but this year we put in a vegetable garden. This year, we put in this vegetable garden. There used to be a huge lean-to style building that was here, and it was not structurally sound. There was a concrete pad up until literally probably the end of last year. The concrete pad came out to here. It was really broken up and full of weeds, and it's wet right now, so. You're just wet, it's okay. Uh-oh, you're wet. That's okay. Farm life. So we took out the concrete pad, my husband dug it all up and we moved the concrete out, and now we have here, this used to be concrete pad as well, and I'll show you kind of what it looked like over here. This is the chicken coop, which we'll do maybe a video later to show how we fixed that. The building, we redid the barn. It has an entertainment space above it now. We painted it recently, so we're still working on it. The farm was abandoned for quite a number of years. It was sold on sheriff's sale to somebody who fixed up the house, and that's it. That's all I did was fix up the house, and they left the whole acreage was nothing but weeds and trees, and that was it. So we put in this garden this spring. It was my Mother's Day gift to me. And okay, where did we leave off? The little one needed help, so we put in this garden this spring. It was kind of my Mother's Day gift, and I wanted to have a somewhat kind of formal feel to it, but I also wanted plenty of space between the beds, and I also wanted to leave myself room to add beds later if needed. I kind of didn't want to start too crazy, so this is where we decided to go with it. I have lots of tomatoes here. Now I'll probably get different stakes as the season goes on, but this is what I had in the barn. These are the new Proven Winner plants. I believe these ones are Garden Treasure. I want to say these are Garden Treasure. And then Garden Gems are over here. I also have the Good Hearted, but that's in a different bed because Good Hearted is determinate, so they're a small bush type tomato. So I'm excited to see how these do. I put them in the ground a couple days ago after the polar vortex we had, and they already look a lot better. They were getting sick of being indoors. They were getting yellow and purple, and they were just curling up on themselves because they had been in their pots too long. But as soon as I pushed them in the ground, they have bounced back with great foliage already. I have a bunch of other heirloom type tomatoes, a Brandywine, a Beef Master. I don't know if that one's an heirloom, but I also have potatoes planted here and some carrots started from seed. And as we move this way, this is my herb garden. Now I did plant lavender around the edge, but I might be having to rethink that idea. This is compost I got from my local municipality, and most people will tell you, you know, compost is great. A lot of people may have a problem with the fact that it came from a municipal organic waste, where they compost trees and other yard waste at their facility. It's probably not the most organic. I do know that some are organic, but I know mine's not. But I've seen the facility, it's fairly clean. There's nothing I'm really worried about. I live on a farm. Half the soil in my yard probably has stuff in it, so I'm not too worried about it. And it's better than a lot of the compost that I have available to me in bags. But this area, I mean, we have some spots in clay, and I do know that this part right here had some clay in the soil underneath it. So it does drain, not the greatest, as you can tell after. I mean, we've gotten a lot of rain this week, but it's pretty wet down there. So I'm thinking that my lavender hedge might have to go on a different part of the yard, and I might just have to do like annuals around the ring instead of lavender. I want something that blooms a lot, and I want to put maybe some short zinnias, not short, but just not up into the windmill. Some zinnias, or maybe a sunflower, a couple sunflowers. We'll see. I'll show you this as this emerges throughout the rest of the season. Over here, I have, you know, a bunch of stuff I just planted. I have more potatoes here, and then I have a couple peppers. Now my beds are 4 feet across, so this gives me, I mean, just over a foot per plant. And that's pretty good. I mean, you don't want to pack them on top of each other, especially if some people top their peppers. I'm not a pepper expert. I never have the greatest luck with them, but I'm hoping I've done enough research this year that we'll do better with peppers, like burying. I used to think you had to bury the peppers like a tomato, but apparently that's not the case. You don't want to bury them. They don't have that hairy follicle type texture on their stems, so they're not going to really root out like you would think. So I'm not burying them that deep this year. They have plenty of drainage. This is all compost mixed with the topsoil. So it's about a quarter topsoil, a quarter of peat moss, and then probably the other half is compost. And that's how I did my beds. Most of the compost is towards the top. Oren, get out of the chicken coop. Oren. My son likes to think he can climb this fence. Now that we've made it shorter so you could see more of the property, they think they can climb right into the chicken coop. So I'm leaving this spot open here. I was going to plant tomatoes, but I'm thinking I'm going to do maybe a spot of sunflowers with some other things around it. I do have Brussels sprouts here and here. They do get quite large, so I want to make sure they have plenty of room. I have 6 more peppers here, more potatoes. I have 2 rows of potatoes here, and then a row of leeks. Come around this way. I have candy onions and Walla Walla onions, which I planted those a couple weeks ago, so they've been in for a while. They're already starting to look better than they did when I first planted them. They've pushed some newer foliage. I have more tomatoes here. I do plan on single stemming my tomatoes, so I gave them just over a foot a piece. I have 2 peppers that I lost the tag, and so there they are. We'll see how they turn out. These 4 here are the Good-Hearted Proven Winners tomatoes. They are a determinant, and they don't get very big. I kind of want to see if they'll kind of spill over the edge some. If you guys watch Garden Answers, she had one last year that kind of went over the edge. It was a pretty small tomato, so that's why they don't have as much room as some of the other tomatoes. But here I have my Jetstar tomatoes, and I think, Lemon Boy maybe. I have some bok choy here, which these are pretty close to the tomatoes, but those bok choys will not be there all summer. They're probably, honestly, our spring was so bad where, I mean, last week for the polar freeze, we got down to 27 degrees, 26 degrees, and this week it's 70 and 80. So that's our springs here in the Great Lakes area. I'm less than an hour from Lake Michigan, so we just don't have much spring. It's cold and then all of a sudden it's hot. Going this way, I have more peppers. And then I have some cabbages, and the cabbages have been here as long as the onions, but they just were not growing with as cold as it was. I don't think they're gonna do it this spring. So we'll try again in the fall. Honestly, I try a lot to make sure, you know, I've tried spring crops. I don't have a lot of luck here in Indiana with spring crops. So the fall is really long, cool season, so we'll try again in the fall. Say hi, Oren. Why do you have slippers on? You got your tractor?
A bucket.
Oh, you lost your bucket? We'll go find it. Hold on.
Yay.
Okay. And my sons have been digging in this bed, but I have more cabbage. But since I knew the cabbage weren't going to probably do it this spring, I planted my eggplant in the middle. And then I think I'm going to go around. I'm going to do a lot of flowers in this section and this section. I did plant more Brussels sprouts here by seed, but I think that my son's kind of dug it up and I don't know if it's going to do it. So we'll plant something else here this spring, maybe some zucchini. I have another pepper here and a whole row. I have 8 tomatoes of a bunch of different kinds, some black crim, another lemon boy, a couple other ones I haven't tried before. I have 1 pepper here. I did plant nasturtium spotted around the whole garden. So I'm hoping that I have a bunch of nasturtium coming off the sides. And wherever the nasturtium doesn't come up, I'll put a vining crop in, like cantaloupe or something. These were also cabbages, but it's just been too cold. I have 1 lonely tomato to plant still. And that's it. That's my garden. We'll keep you updated as things keep going. I do, like I said, we're gonna take the walls out and reside this part of the room. This is where the chickens are. The runt's on the other side of the wall. And then this spot, we have to finish clearing out the concrete pad that was here. Then we're gonna lay down fresh garden fabric, landscape fabric, and then we will put in 4 more beds. I plan to have 2 here and 2 here. So then they'll have more room for the rest of my tomatoes, like I need any more, but we'll have room for more tomatoes, as well as all of my other summer crops that I haven't gotten to yet, like zucchini and squash and watermelon and cantaloupe and the other things, and beans. I might do an update later. I want to do cattle panel arches on all the openings, like here and here. We'll see. I gave myself 6 feet between these 2 beds so that I could get a wheelbarrow in and out very easily to amend the beds. And we'll see. I don't know, the cattle panels are 16 foot long, so it might make it shorter than I want it. I'm gonna buy one and see. They're about 20 some bucks for one. And we'll update you. So thanks for joining me here on the farm today, and we hope you enjoyed seeing the garden. Hey guys, okay, I wanted to go over a couple last minute things that I didn't mention in the main video. The beds that we put in are 2 by 12 by 10 foot long pine untreated boards. Now you can do treated boards because treated boards anymore are treated with copper, and they're not really something that's going to affect your vegetable plants. However, you're talking about doubling the price of the beds, and the beds themselves here in my Indiana climate will probably last me anywhere from 7-ish years, give or take, depending on how wet the seasons are. And for the cost, I mean, it cost me $200 to put all 4 of these beds in. We have Menards, which is a regional company, I think. I don't think it's national, but it's pretty similar comparable prices to like your Lowe's and other big box stores. So we decided to do untreated, and I don't have tall beds. They're only 12 inches tall. So it wouldn't be that hard to treat, to change out boards as needed, kind of pile up the dirt towards the middle, pull out the board, replace the board. And so that's why we decided to do untreated. You can do treated, but you don't have to. Technically, you could line it with plastic if you really wanted, but we decided not to do that either. Our gravel is a 5/8 inch gravel. It's I got 2 different kinds, and it does matter where you get your gravel because one came from like a big gravel yard in our larger municipal area, and it was full of dirt and stuff, and I didn't care for it. So we did spend like $5 more a yard to get it from a landscape company, and that is the much nicer gravel that's in the center that has like some of the prettier colored stones. And we decided to get, sorry, making sure my kids don't go where they're not supposed to. We did decide to do 5/8 inch gravel over pea gravel because if you've ever walked in pea gravel, it moves around a lot on your feet, and this tends to settle. And since it has anywhere from like, a 1/4 of an inch size stone to the bigger almost inch size stone, it compacts pretty well, and it doesn't move around and shift. And sometimes when you step in pea gravel, you feel like you're stepping in water because it's just moving around so much. And I did not want that. I do wheelbarrows and I walk around and my kids play in it. I just didn't want to deal with pea gravel. So we decided to do the larger gravel. Another thing that I wanted to mention to you guys, I went over the soil composition, but say hi. What? Are you dirty?
Yeah, look.
I see. He stole the garden tool. Anyways, sorry for the interruption. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was that the soil, you do not have to spend a ton of money on soil in order to start a garden. I mean, like I said, I've got these, they're 10 foot long and 4 foot wide, and then the inside right here is 6 feet, and that 6 foot section, I mean, so that gives me quite a bit of garden space. So overall the inside square is like 18 feet, and then the outside is 26 feet, I think. So that's a pretty good sized garden. And then I have the circle garden in the center. I spent very little on the dirt because I got it from the municipal company, and it was $4 to load a truck bed, and that's to have it loaded for us. which is pretty inexpensive, and we plan to go back for the other ones, and we're gonna borrow a dump trailer. I mean, heck, even if I rented a dump trailer to pull behind our truck, it's $8 a scoop. And now, not every municipal is gonna charge that. I have a couple, I live in the county, so we had several different municipals to choose from. Some charged a couple dollars a yard, some was free unless you wanted to pay to have it loaded. So it's just really, you need to check your local area. So I did get topsoil that I paid money for, but if I were to go back and do it again, honestly, I would probably just do the peat moss and the organic, not the organic, the compost. My kids, I tell you, boys. But yes, I would probably just do the compost and probably native soil, honestly. And if you wanted to treat, if you were worried about your native soil being really compacted, you could add the peat moss. Peat moss is fairly inexpensive from your local box store, but as long as you're putting good organic, I keep saying organic. If you keep putting, yeah, well, organic matter, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you put good organic matter in your beds, that's gonna be better than just your native soil in the ground, and you're gonna have to amend it every season anyways. So best of luck.